Good afternoon. I hope everyone has enjoyed our GIS Day event thus far. My name is Sumaya Umwarji, and I'm a senior GIS analyst on the Enterprise GIS team here at LA County's Internal Services Department. Today, I'm excited to share with you all how we are managing our growing ArcGIS Online organization using Power BI. My presentation does not have any maps or any spatial components, but we use this tool to manage thousands of maps, apps, and data layers. So first, I'll give an overview addressing our goal and cover the tools that we have used. Then I'll give a high-level overview of the report design and development. Then we'll talk through the report and finally quickly go over what we hope to do next with this report. So what is ArcGIS Online? ArcGIS Online is Esri's web-based mapping software. It is a cloud-based mapping and analysis solution that is utilized to create maps and analyze data and to share and collaborate across organizations. Now, taking a look at LA County's ArcGIS Online organization and the motivation behind the development of our ArcGIS Online tracking report. LA County's organization was established in 2013 and is nearly 10 years old. As of early November, we have 1,179 users with 8 different user types and 28 departments. Together, we all own 27,134 items that include maps, apps, and data layers. Our organization has 540 different groups. The graph on the screen shows the growth of our organization just over the last 3 years. Take a look at 2020. When COVID changed every aspect of our lives, it also changed the way our organization did GIS. Since then, we have been trying to keep up with our continued growth throughout the organization. By now, you should have hopefully catched that our organization was going quicker than we could even keep up with. So our Enterprise GIS team has a number of ArcGIS Online best practices and guidelines that we like to enforce across our organization to help us better manage. At the rate that our organization was growing, managing, tracking, and enforcing any policies was getting pretty difficult. And we needed a solution that would help us manage, track, and enforce these best practices throughout our organization. So I explored several different tools and resources and found that the type of report we were hoping to generate had not been created yet. So while we quarantined in 2020, I learned how to utilize Power BI to help create our ArcGIS Online management tracking dashboard. So before we continue, I'd like to answer the question, what is Power BI? Power BI is an interactive data visualization software product developed by Microsoft with a primary focus on business intelligence, and it is a part of Microsoft's Power Platform. So now that we've talked about our motivation behind the report development and the tools utilized, let's jump into report design and development. For the sake of this presentation, I'll try not to go too technical, and I'll be sharing a higher level overview of how this report was actually set up. First, let's talk about the data that builds this report. I'll break them up in the coming slide, but for this report, we have utilized an extract from ArcGIS Online. We have 3 different data sets that we download using GeoJob's admin tools. GeoJob is a suite of tools for ArcGIS Online administration. And lastly, we have a few reference tables that were created to enhance the extracted data that we are trying to present. Starting off with items, we have 2 extracts, and these are related using item ID. This is a one-to-one relationship. And the reason why we have 2 reports is when we were designing this report, I found that a number of metrics we hope to capture were not available either in the activity report from ArcGIS Online or from GeoJob. And an example of that is the content status and completeness score. So we use the 2 extracts and we build a relationship between them using the item ID. This is a one-to-one relationship, and now we're able to create graphics and present metrics combining our different data. Next, we have groups and users. These are extracted using from GeoJob. We're able to select the fields that we are interested in and download them as a CSV. So I played around with all the different fields there. We understood what was available to us, and now we have a certain frame that we download, like certain fields that we download, and we use that in our report. And GeoJob has been instrumental in our ArcGIS Online management even prior to this report. So along with these extracted data sets that we pull on them, whenever we are updating our reports, we have these reference tables that I've set up in Excel. And the goal for these reference tables is to help enhance the extracted data that we have. So the first is an items by type table. The purpose is to help flag and categorize items into groups and to help focus on primary items. All items are not included in the extract. All items that are in the extract, we do not include in our report because they may not require attention, and some of them are created by default when an item is created in ArcGIS Online. So as a committee, we were able to categorize our items. We were able to flag what we wanted to focus on and which ones we wanted to mark as other. The next one we have is a reference table with our department names. This helps us tie our department acronyms from our email addresses to help populate the department names. And I'll go more into this on a future slide. So how do all of our data sets work together? So in Power BI, all of our different data sources are loaded, and using relationships and Power Queries, they're all connected. So here we have our items reports extracted from ArcGIS Online. That table is related by item type to our reference table. That helps us categorize our items. Then using the item ID, we are able to build a one-to-one relationship with our items extracted from GeoJob. As I mentioned earlier, we have 2 items extracts because they have unique fields. And so we use the item ID to build that relationship between them. Next, we have our users extracted from GeoJob, and using Power Queries, department names is populated within that table, and then we build a relationship to our reference table for departments, and this helps us populate full department names using that acronym. And then next we have the items that are then tied to our departments. Lastly, we have groups, and the groups are related to our users. And again, that helps us categorize by departments as well. Okay, so currently I'm showing one of the many Power Queries that we have set up in Power BI. These queries were initially set up when the report was designed and have been, and since we've only kind of touched them if we needed to enhance them on a need basis or needed to remove or add something. Every time the data is updated and refreshed, these queries also refresh, updating the metrics. This sample query that I have here on the screen showcases how department names are extracted from user emails. So here I have the query kind of just simplified for the presentation. So we have the query that starts off by adding an email. The email is then split by the delimiter using the @ symbol, and then again using the period symbol. A many-to-one relationship is then established between the field that we created with the Power Query in our users table and connected to our reference table. That way we are now able to populate department names using the full department names throughout our report. So this is just one of the many examples of the queries we have set up that help us populate the metrics that we showcase. And again, this is set up when we initially set up the report. So now every time we refresh it, it automatically applies these queries to our data sets. Now I'd like to quickly share a few examples of graphics and metrics we capture in our report and how they're configured in Power BI. So first, here we have a graph that shows the growth of items in 2022. The data is filtered, using the filter tool to 2022. The x-axis uses a date hierarchy at the month level, and then it groups items by type at a month and year level. And then for the legend, we're utilizing the relationship table that we had created to group items for this visualization. This helps us group and remove items that we are not tracking, that we are not interested in. They are grouped into a specific category. So we're not looking at those as different legend items throughout this report. So the table I have here showcases our organization's top 10 items by the number of views. And when we designed this report, the intent was to make sure that once users were logged in and viewing our report, they were easily able to connect back to our ArcGIS Online organization. So this graphic is an example of how we are utilizing URLs, allowing users to click and view the items. So I've set it up so that under the title, if you were to click on any of those underlined names, you were able to view that item in ArcGIS Online. So if you click on it, it opens the actual item in ArcGIS Online. And this is consistent across the entire report for items, groups, and users, with the goal that our users do not have to go back to ArcGIS Online to search for an item, a group, or a user if they wanted to view it or make any updates to it. So with a growing organization, our credit consumption is also quickly growing. And this past year, this credit breakdown was added to the report. This visual is an example of a breakdown by department, showcasing their counts and the credit consumption. We have similar tables tying departments to users, groups, and items as well. So here we have different counts, and then we have them divided by the department. And again, these departments are populated by the users that we have tied to those items, and then the Power Query that was set up to extract the departments. So currently, this is our current workflow. This is how we refresh our report. We download a few data sets. Downloading them and formatting them takes us approximately 20 minutes. Then in Power BI, the report is refreshed and the queries are applied. Since the initial setup and the queries of all the heavy lifting and all of that is already done, this step takes us a few minutes. And then lastly, we quickly QC the report and publish it to Power BI. The current workflow is manageable, and it's over the past year, we've modified it. I now have the support of my colleague Shannon, and together we work on enhancing and updating our report and workflow. So within 30 minutes, we're able to update our ArcGIS Online Management Tracking Dashboard, and we currently aim to update it on a monthly or on a need basis. So who has access to this report? All of our users from ArcGIS Online have been assigned permission rights in Power BI. The report in Power BI is published to a premium workspace, so users are able to log in and view the report using their county credentials. This is the same credentials we utilize to log into our enterprise accounts on ArcGIS Online and to our Outlook email accounts. So we're not managing or creating new accounts to view this report. Again, it was key for this to be easy to access and available to all of our users. So on our ArcGIS Online homepage, we have linked the report, and users are able to just log into our organization and click to view that report. So now for the fun part, let's walk through our report. Please note that I have modified the screenshots that we will be seeing on the next few slides because I've removed items relating to department and users to respect our users' privacies. I will try to point out the missing content to paint the picture throughout the presentation. So upon opening the report, you land on the overview report page. This page has an overview graphics relating to our items, groups, and users. All of the graphics here are also found available to be viewed on our items, groups, and user management pages throughout the report. So this is our overview high-level page. Then we have our item management report page. At the top of this report, you can see that there are a number of filters that allow us to filter by the report by department, user, or creation date. This page for items only showcases items that are shared at an org, group, or public level. Private items are not accounted for. This report then also categorizes the items by type and the growth of the items through the years. So if you move your gaze to the bottom of the slide, you'll notice that we have items categorized by completeness scores and items missing terms of use and tags. These visuals are accompanied by a list of breakdown by departments and again by users. Screenshots of those visuals are not included in this presentation. All of our report pages are interactive, so users can click on the page on the different graphics and the visualizations, and all the other graphics and visualizations that are tied to that data set will then be filtered. So for example, if a manager or user of a department wants to log in, they can filter down to their department, they can further filter down to a user, they can then work with them to update or take a look at this. And I know that this functionality is used by departments to track kind of their growth through the years, through the month, through the quarter, or even just as a user. And I know Nick from regional planning uses this report to report back to his department on a quarterly basis. Next, we have our group management tracking page. Here we have our groups that are shared publicly at an org level and to group members. Again, users are able to filter and drill down. Missing from the screenshot are the groupings of incorrect group names, no description, no summary, and no thumbnail by departments. Users are able to scroll through and then again click on these group names, and then it links them to ArcGIS Online where they can then make these corrections. Next, we have user management. We have, again, the filters on the top, and then we have a breakdown by profile visibility, the user type role, and login type. Not visible here on this screenshot is the breakdown by users, by user type across the departments and users flagged as inactive, never logged in, or incomplete. So here I have an example of how the drill down features work. Here I'm selecting to view all the users that have enterprise accounts. So I click the visualization, and all the other visualizations on this page are now filtered to show those accounts that are enterprise. So you can do this for all the different graphics on all of the different pages that we have in this report. So here we have our action items report page. As mentioned earlier, our Enterprise GIS team has a number of best practices that we enforce across our organization. And so using this report, our organization users are able to kind of view their items, their users, their groups that are being flagged. So under these visualizations that I have screenshotted here, there's a breakdown by department and user with hyperlinks linking to those items, users, and groups pages. Along with updating this report, the EGIS team will also send out an email to all those users whose profiles, items, or groups are flagged with a timeline of the consequences that we have in place for those enforcements.
Oh, I may add just a quick couple-minute warning.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the last part of that builds our report is a number of tabs that provides users with guides relating to our best practices, keeping to our goal of creating a central space for our users. These guides were included to help share details relating to our best practices and how-to guides. So that's also available within the report itself. So what's next? This is our current workflow. We spend about 30 minutes every month downloading, updating, refreshing, and then republishing. So the goal is to automate this process from the data extract downloads to the refresh and to the publishing of the report. This will allow us to not only save time, but it'll also eliminate human errors and also allow for more frequent updates. The next goal for this report is to keep up with our growth of ArcGIS Online organization. The growth of our users and licenses is also growing. So the goal is to add a report page that would allow us at EGIS to track and manage license allocations and allow departments to better understand how their accounts are being used and what's available to them under their department. And with that, that is the end of my presentation. So if you have any questions, thank you.